Hello, hello, hello. Good evening to all our viewers out there. It's another beautiful day, and I welcome you all over the world. Thank you for joining us. It's another beautiful day, the day that the Lord has made, and He said we should rejoice and be glad in it. We are most grateful to the Lord God Almighty for great things that He has done, what He's doing, what is yet to do. We are grateful for life, for counting us. It's a privilege to be among the living. Actually, I just appreciate that. I won't say be thy exalted, Lord. And thank you to all our viewers out there all over the world. We thank you for coming every week to support us. We are grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please, I just want to encourage you, share this video. And then what do? Share this video, like our page, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Perhaps what we're going to discuss today will be an encouragement to somebody out there. Okay, please learn to share. You will really enjoy today's topic. Today's topic is quite different. I actually don't know so much about flowers and plants, but today we're just going to learn about flowers and plants. According to Genesis 1:29, and God said, see, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seeds to you. It shall be food for you. I mean, when I invited my next guest, and she said, "Oh, she was going to talk about the flower essence." I was wondering what's she going to talk about. Then I decided to go and check myself to learn about what she was going to discuss today. You say how I'm, how I got by a flower frame. So I was wondering, oh my God, I still did understand all this until I went to Google and research and find out what are flower essence. Then I realized that flower essence, they are liquid extract to address profound issue of emotional well-being. Oh my God, there are flower, extracts that you use for your emotional well-being, soul development, and mind-body health. So there's lots of flowers that just the one you see. And you see people, when they receive flower, they're so happy. Honestly, flowers bring happiness, they bring joy. I can just actually, when she said this, I could actually relate to it. Just 2 days ago, my daughter's friend, from nowhere, just presented her a beautiful bunch of flowers. And she was so happy. That actually lifted, even me who has not received the flower, it lifted up our spirit because the flower was so beautiful. So I started, thinking about all this as, okay, this is what Sheila is going to talk about today. And then I went on internet. I was able to see more things from, internet. I discovered about the power of flower with emotional health. I said, oh my God, there's just too much or more to flower than just meet the eyes. So you can see what I just put there. You can read that yourself, but I'm just going to quickly read two things about this. One, it said violet color flower. It has a calming effect on the mind and nerves. It's uplifting and it encourages creativity. So when you wear a violet color, so there are meanings to colors when you wear them, how it makes you feel. And then green color says is a natural world. It represents natural world. Green. It creates feeling of tranquility. It conveys sense of freshness and renewal. Green also, signifies prosperity and progress, productivity, fruitfulness. As oh my God. And I was just wondering, so this is what listening to. So I'm just going to invite my sister. Her name is Sheila Bagobin. She's a dream decipher. She's a sleep and dream coach. This is very unusual thing that we, bring onto this program. She's a qualified flower essence practitioner. She's a qualified aromatherapist, crystal healer, and Rita teacher. She trains people to be holistic she talks about therapies and all kind of thing. And I just want her to, to come and, describe herself, because all these words are new to me. Honestly, I must say the fact. Okay. And if you are, you're watching us, or you come about this message, or this show later, if you want to ask her a question, please, send her an email. I'm going to bring her email address here. And I'm even, if while we're on air, you can ask her a question about dreams. If probably you had a dream yesterday, a few weeks ago, and you don't understand it, just give her a call, and I'm sure she'll be able to, give you the meaning of that dream. Please help me to welcome Sheila Bagobin. Hello, Sheila.
Hello, Reverend Carol. How are you?
I'm very well. And you?
I'm well, thank you. And thank you for having me here. It'll be a pleasure to share some new information with you. Or actually, it's old information that people have forgotten about, I think.
Yeah.
But as the quote that you read from Genesis says, that everything we need to heal ourselves is here. It's available. I mean, as long as we're not poisoning it and killing it off, it is here to provide healing. I mean, even the big pharmaceuticals rely on plants
They do.
to get their medicines. But what they do is that they pick and choose. Oh, I like this bit of this plant, and I like this bit, and what this does over here. But because it's taken in out of context and in isolation. This is why you get crazy side effects from drugs, because the natural checks and balances in the plant are missing.
All right.
So you get unexpected results, or expected results, because they tell you what will happen to you in the bulletins that they put in the medicine. But the plants, just as plants may have poison in them, they also have the cure in them.
Yeah.
So but they're kept in balance so that the plant thrives and is healthy. So we have everything around us to be healthy.
Into that, please, Sheila. Before, I hope you don't mind if I call you sis, because everybody's my sister.
Not at all.
Everybody's my sister, so I call everybody sis. So
that's all right.
Before we go into that, we're coming back to that. Can you just please introduce yourself to us and tell us who is Sheila Bagobin and your upbringing, please?
Well, it's pretty straightforward. I grew up, born and raised in New York City, in the Bronx, and was always interested in plants and healing.
Congratulations. Gotten a new president, isn't it?
Yeah, yes. I mean, well, whether he gets in office on January 1st is another thing, but with all these legal challenges, but yes, we do have a new president elected, and hopefully a new direction, because we need it.
All right. Yeah, sorry about that. It's
no, it's all right. But I had always, as I said, I always had an interest in healing. So I was growing flowers on a fire escape with my mother as a little girl, and massaging relatives and pets. So healing was and plants had always been a part of my life. And in fact, there's a number of people who do healing work, whether traditional healing or they're nurses, doctors, or what have you. So it's something that has always been a part of me. And the other thing that has always been a part of me is the ability to understand dreams. And that's something that runs through my mother's line. And I'm the fifth generation dreamer, people who dream in order to be able to help other people in some way or fashion. But that was something I kept to myself for a long, long time, because it just didn't want to be thought as to being too weird or too out there, being able to tell people about their dreams. But I became a banker, worked for over 20 years as a banker and on Wall Street and here in London in the city. But the one thing that was constant through all of that was the healing work. I was training as a therapist in various therapies during that time,
Yeah.
and finally decided about after moving on to doing um, therapy work with a small charity that delivered complementary therapies in local communities at a discount. 5 years ago, I actually started to strike out on my own and build my own business, which is where I am today, and which is why we're having this lovely conversation.
Thank you very much. You talked about dream. Oh my God, you are just too much. You're a woman that wears many hats. Could you please tell us? I mean, if somebody called you now and tell, okay, tell me about this dream. How can you interpret dreams?
Well, to be more accurate, it's not me who interprets the dream. It's the person whose dream it is that interprets the dream. But what I do is help them crack the code of it. So dreams have a particular way of presenting themselves. They use images. They use a particular kind of language, and each dreamer has their own code. So what I do is pull out the different clues for the dreamer to be able to put together and create and make sense of the dream. So I don't interpret the dream, but I give the dreamer the tools to be able to do it.
Can you please explain that because I'm still very, just a novice to this. Okay, for
Okay,
example, like
well,
I have a dream. Like for example, now I'll say, okay, I have a dream and see myself, doing or going to a particular place all the time in the dream. So how can I
mhm.
decode that?
Well, I mean, what needs to happen is remember that dreams, like I said, speak a specific language. They use images. They may use plays on words. Or different expressions. So that it's first we have to understand the language of your particular dream language, as it were. Then what we would do is take the different pieces of the dream. There may be different scenes or different ideas or feelings that come up, and we take each of those pieces and look at them and see what comes up in relation to them. So you get these different pieces of the dream and look at them in isolation, and then you start to bring those different pieces together to form the whole story. I'll give you an example from one of my own dreams. Some years ago, I had a dream, and in fact it was a dream that kind of put me firmly on the path that I follow today with regard to the work that I do. But it was around Christmas time, and I was almost a Christmas baby. I was born right after Christmas. But I had this dream, and it was Christmas time, and it was an enormous pine tree, and it smelled delicious. I could smell the pine in my sleep, yes. And but there were presents underneath it, and I had to figure out what the presents were about, what they meant. I mean, they were presents that were marked with my sister and brother's names on them, but there was one big box that had no name on it. And I woke up before I actually um, figured open the box to see what was in the dream. But what the working through the dream and working at the Christmas gifts and who they were for and the pine tree and the different elements of the dream, I was able to pick out the information that resonated with me. It's almost like it vibrates in you when it feels right, and able to reconstruct the dream and put those pieces together to make sense of the dream. The message of the dream actually was for me to use my gifts. And it was in understanding as I say, put me on the path that I'm on today. And to honor that dream, I made up a little box with a wrapping and a bow and everything, and I look at it every single day to remind me to use my gifts, to open that box and use the gift. So, and that's, I mean, that's just, I mean, that's in essence what happens. I teach people how to break down their dreams and look at the different pieces and then put them back together to understand the story.
All right. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. I don't really understand that honestly. And some people are watching us now that they still don't understand, because primarily, when you dream, you just want somebody to interpret that dream for you.
Well, yes, but I mean, remember, the dream comes from us and is about us. So I think it's a bit presumptuous for me to tell somebody what their dream was about when it's about them and in the context of their life. Dreams are messages that the unconscious mind floats up to say, take a look at this. This is something you need to look at and perhaps deal with, or at least be aware of. So, it's not for me to presume that I know everything about their lives and everything that's going on in their lives, and therefore can make a pronouncement as to your dream means this. No, that doesn't make sense at all. It's not my dream, it's their dream.
Okay.
What I do is help them to pull the information out for that they need to get out of it, not what I need to get out of it. And that's the difference.
Okay.
There are people that call themselves dream whisperers and whatnot, and they're people who talk about lucid dreaming. And lucid dreaming is essentially you going into your dream and telling your unconscious mind what you want to have it do. What I do is actually to listen to the unconscious mind, which is delivering a message and says, you need to look at this and figure out what it is that needs to be looked at and perhaps dealt with.
This is deep. This is deep. Very deep.
It is. Dreams have, for me personally, and even some of my clients, dreams have literally saved my life. Dreams have brought, after my first husband passed away, my second husband, who I knew before the first husband, came back into my life.
Wow.
So when I say that, dreams have important information, they really do. It can literally save lives. I mean, if the information is acted upon.
All
So,
right. All right.
and it's not just the result of dodgy dinners, of bad red wine, or they actually have a purpose.
Oh, okay. Maybe when I have another dream, I'm gonna give you a call, and you kind of put me through it, and I understand that more. All right.
Yeah.
The topic for today is how I got by with help from my friend, my flower friends. Can you please
Mm-hmm.
tell us about that?
Well, as you said, I wear many hats, and one of the hats that I wear is that as a flower essence practitioner and producer. I produce my own range of vibrational essences called Spirit of Makasutu, which is named for a small sacred forest in the Gambia. The range has since expanded from some of them being produced in Africa and others from Jamaica and some from Florida, and one was even produced here in the UK in the New Forest. But what I use the essences for is one of the tools that I use with my clients and for myself as well to be able to bring back people into emotional balance. So if you want the scientific bit with it, the scientists tell us that everything in life vibrates. Everything has its
I
own
read that.
vibratory signature.
Mm,
Now, if you think of the human body as an orchestra with the different organs and parts of the body all playing to the same tune, we call that health when it's everybody's playing in tune and doing their job. But
yeah.
let's say one of the violinists or somebody in the brass section starts to play out of tune. You could interpret that as being a cancer, being a problem with the liver or whatever it is. Once that vibration is no longer in harmony, things start to wobble energetically. And if our vibration is going like this, what flower or vibrational essences will do is hold the true note so that the vibration, the wobble, eventually comes back into balance. So flower and vibrational essences use the power of sunlight and the power of water to absorb, store, and transmit information that can be used for our emotional well-being.
Wow, wow, wow. This is just new, you're just teaching me new things today. I'm a novice into all this. Is it true that they are a natural moderator of moods and has got strong positive effect on your emotional health?
Absolutely, they do. I mean, and the best place to see that, the best evidence of that, is when I work with children or with animals, because you can use them on plants. I use them on plants. I use them on pets. I use them on babies, old people. It doesn't matter. Even my husband, when he lets me. But what they're as I said, they're energetic messages that help us to bring ourselves back into balance. If we use the analogy of the orchestra, when we get out of tune, it helps us to bring ourselves back in tune with ourselves and with the people around us. So, with babies and children, let's say there's a baby that's a young child that's teething, and you know how fretful teething babies can be. Well, they will literally go from screaming their heads off to, if mom just takes a few drops and rubs it on the baby's gum, like that, they stop. Instant. And the animals, the same thing. They respond instantly. When the scientists look at flower and vibrational essences, they say, it's nothing but water with a preservative like brandy or vodka, or I use a non-alcohol preservative called red shiso. So as far as they're concerned, there's nothing in it. It's nothing. But this nothing apparently can make crying babies stop on a dime, and nervous animals flop down and go to sleep in seconds. And they don't know what flower essences are. They don't know what they're supposed to do. They don't know about placebo effect. And yet, the scientists have to admit that there's something going on, but they don't understand what it is. Because to them, they see nothing. And I said, because they're looking in the wrong place, basically. They're looking for a chemical substance. And, we're far more than just a sum of chemical processes in our bodies. We have a soul, we have a spirit, and it's this energy and spirit of the plant that is speaking to our own spirits. I'll give you a good example. And in fact, I wrote my dissertation from my psychotherapy degree based on an 18-month-old child. This 18-month-old, I was giving a talk at a children's center near my home, and talking to the parents about how they could use the flower essences to help with childhood, issues that may come up. And so I had spread out the cards very nicely on the floor, and this works great with adults or children. And this 18-month-old picked up one of the cards, marched over to her mother, and thrust it at her, like to say, "You need this." And the card that 18-month-old child, who can't read, doesn't know what flower essences are or anything else, she just responded to the pretty picture, handed it to her mother, and you'll never guess what the name of the flower that she picked. Never guess. What would you think that would characterize a child that's nearly 2-year-old?
It has to be a bright color, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, but what I mean is, what I'm getting at, yes, all of the cards had bright colors because they were of flowers, but she picked up this particular card, and the name of the flower that she picked was impatience.
Impatience.
Impatience. The name of the flower is impatience. And the mother, she handed the card to the mother. The mother looked at the card and she said, "Oh, well, what does this do then?" And I said, exactly what the name implies. It's for people who are feeling impatient. So that card could respond to the 18-month-old who wants to exercise her little will in the world and gets frustrated when she can't.
Mm.
And so it gets impatient and it gets fussy. And mother who's running after this 18-month-old who's impatient because she's got so much to do and she's got to run after this child as well. So a child who can't read, doesn't know what it is, managed to pick the perfect card. And if an 18-month-old can do it, an adult can do it as well.
So what are you trying to tell us, that that's vibration, or kind of something was pulling her to that
Yes, it
card?
was. Yes, it's energetically. It's again, it's about vibration, and the vibration of impatience, if you will, was what drew that child. I mean, whether it was her impatience or her mom's impatience, it didn't matter. But the archetype, if you will, or a pattern, emotional pattern
Mm-hmm.
of impatience was presented. So whether the mother does something about it or not is another thing. But the question was posed. This is the issue, and dreams are doing the same thing. This is the issue. What do here it is. What are you going to do about it?
Oh, yeah.
So that it's funny that children and animals get get the message of the essences quite easily, but adults, we go through the mind thing. What is it? How does it work? Why does it work? How do I know it's working? When does it stop working? And on and on and on and on. It will still work, but it will take longer because they're so busy intellectualizing it instead of just feeling.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's why the Bible said, if you want to enter the kingdom of God, you have to be like a child, because children don't ask questions; they just believe and they have faith. Just it's like you picking you telling your child, "I'm going to get you a chocolate." They don't doubt it because they believe that because you are the mother, you are going to get it. Whatever you tell them, they believe you. So, but we,
sure.
like you said, for us to believe the word of God, to believe other things that will work, we have to internalize it, think about it, how, why, and how. That's the issue with adults, isn't it?
Yes, very much so. Like I said, we're up here. Children and animals are pretty much in their bodies and in their spirits, so that they just, like you say, they just take it in and accept. Um, and whereas adults, because they have the greater capacity to think, they their thoughts actually kind of turn against them because they're, instead of getting with themselves and understanding what they're feeling,
Yeah.
they're up here counting, evaluating. Yes,
All right.
exactly.
I'm
Um,
actually going to ask you that question now because I want to know. Honestly, it's just kind of vague to me, and I'm sure some of our viewers don't really understand what you're saying. How do you
mhm.
make this flower essence? How do we come about it? Where can we get it from? Do we have to make it ourselves, or we have to buy it?
Well, you could conceivably make an essence yourself. It's a simple process. There are literally hundreds of producers all across the planet, from New Zealand to to the North Pole, making essences. People in Iceland, people in Japan, people in France, in Germany, here in the UK. And in fact, the modern, what they call the father of the modern age of flower essences, is Dr. Edward Batch, who was a Harley Street doctor who, when he found out that he was terminally ill, began looking for gentler ways of healing and created the Batch flower remedies. Now, a lot of people don't know that there are 38 Batch flower remedies, but they may have heard of rescue remedy. Um, so it's almost become a victim of its own success. But there in Oxfordshire, that the home where where the company, the Batch Flower Remedies, now resides and carries on that tradition. but you can, as I said, you can make essences. As I said, it's a matter of taking the flowers, flower heads or plant material, placing them in a bowl of pure water and sitting it in sunlight for several hours, and then bottling it, straining it, bottling it, and adding a preservative such as brandy or vodka or some other glycerin, apple cider vinegar. There's different things that people will use depending on their particular tastes and needs. So you can buy essences. As I say, I'm a small producer myself of my own range of essences. But you can also turn it into a real spiritual experience and go into nature and to create your own essences. How I came to it was that as I was doing my various trainings in different therapies, I came across somebody who was teaching me at the time I was learning Reiki and said, "Oh, this flower remedy would be really good for you." And guess what it was? Impatience. Since life and patience used to be a part of my life in various ways over the years. But so that was my initial exposure to taking a flower essence or flower remedy. In this particular case, it's called the batch flower remedies, and how that created some shifts within me, and that started me on my journey to be not only to learn how to use other people's systems of flower essences, but spurred me on to create my own. And there aren't a lot of them that are made in Africa. Actually, I can only think of one range is produced by a friend of mine in Kenya, and there's a one or two others ranges that I know of, but my own, of course, but there aren't very many. And every area and every producer has their own vibration when it comes to making essences, because the producer is part of the process. There's no way they can't be, because they're making the essence. So my energy gets added to the energy of the essences that I produce, as well as the soil, the people, the environment in the countries where I've made them. And I find that it's a good fit. The vibration, the people who have from Africa, have lived in Africa, or have some connection to Africa, find that the essences resonate very well with them. But that's not to say that essences from other places won't resonate. They will, but there's more of a natural affinity, perhaps, in certain cases. So that's how you can access the essences. And what they can do is any number of things. I'll give you an example of how essences are being used around the world. A colleague and good friend of mine in Brazil has done some stellar work in getting governments to use essences with autistic children and the school programs and things. They also use the essences in hospitals for, excuse me, say post-operative recovery. In Cuba, they issued their essences on their National Health Service because they found that they were cheaper and more effective than tricyclic antidepressants, which they couldn't get anymore once the Soviet Union collapsed. In Norway, their nurses are trained to use flower essences in working with the elderly. So there's many, many different ways that these essences are being used around the world to be able to help people to find emotional balance and healing in some form or other.
All right. That's very informative. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask this question. What's the difference between essential oil and flower essence?
Okay. Well, go back to the body, the analogy of body and soul. As aromatherapy, the oils, the essential oils that are made, that are used in aromatherapy, come from a physical property of the plant. It could be the rind of an orange or lemon. It could be eucalyptus leaves. It could be the petals of roses. It could be any number of things. That depending, it could be from the bark of a tree. But that plant material is actually distilled in a process, and the oil drawn out of them, and then which is in concentrated form, which is what you get in those little bottles. Now, so that comes from the body of a plant or whatever it is. Flower essences or vibrational essences in the wider sense, because it's not just flowers that are used, comes from the soul of the plant. Think of it that way. Plants, just like people, need to have defense strategies to keep them safe from the cats in the in the backyard chewing on them, or insects just predating on them. So just like we need, our skin is our defense to keep us, protected and what have you. Plants have developed defenses to keep them healthy and alive. So they may have noxious smells. They may have, toxins in the leaves. So, but energetically, they have certain characteristics that make them able to grow in this place, but not that place. And the flower essence will actually capture that personality of the plant and distill and preserve it, like I said, in water with some kind of preservative, brandy or something. And it is that resonance of that particular personality of the plant that will resonate with us, just like that impatience did with that little girl. So it's an energetic exchange. It's not a physical property of the plant at all. It's part of the plant's soul, if you will. So one is the body, aromatherapy is the body, and the flower essence is the soul.
All right, that's deep. That I still barely understand, about all this. I know it takes time to actually, learn and understand all these things. I was going to ask a question. You said it depends on the person, producing it, their energy.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I know what kind of energy that you are putting into that flower essence?
Well, I mean, you certainly wouldn't want to put in negative energy, would you? I mean, when I'm making an essence, it's, I don't say I have a ritual as such, but there is a procedure of sorts that I follow. First of all, I kind of get myself in a meditative state to listen to the environment. Sometimes I go to make one essence, but another one, something else calls me instead. And I mean, it's about being open to the environment to receive the information, because I don't take energy from whatever I make the essence from without asking permission. I mean, it's only good manners. I mean, you don't go to somebody's house and take stuff and don't ask. So, and it's no different with the plant kingdom. I mean, it's like, I'd like to have a little bit of your energy. Would you be willing to give it to me? And if I get a positive response, and you do when you learn to go within and listen, then it's like, okay, well, thank you. I'm going to take a little bit of your energy, but I'm going to give a little bit back to you. So I give them the plant itself. I give it healing in exchange. So it's not just me taking from it. It's us exchanging. And that's the difference. It's an exchange of energy. All contact between living organisms is an exchange of energy. I mean, haven't you ever had the thing where you're sitting somewhere and your back is to the door, but you can feel when somebody comes in, even if they make no noise? Haven't you ever had that happen? You feel their energy. You know they're there. You can just feel their energy. I know me as sensitive to energy. I've walked in rooms and walked back out again because the energy wasn't good. It was heavy, or it was negative, actively negative energy, and it's just like I can't stay here. I gotta go. So we respond to each other's energy all the time.
Yeah, we
Now,
do.
but what I mean is, when I mean by how the producer is part of the process, I mean the essence wouldn't get made if the producer wasn't there. So they of necessity are part of the energy that is put into that essence.
Mm.
Now, my friend in Kenya who produces essence, she makes an ocean essence, and that's the Indian Ocean because she's that's the east coast of Africa. I make an ocean essence but I was on the west coast of Africa making it. Two
Okay.
different oceans, two different characteristics, both ocean, and both it basically have the same energy, but slightly different because
Oh,
she's a different person from me, and we were two different bodies of water as well. So
thank you very much.
it all ties together.
All right. You made mention of you getting energy from taking permission from a tree. How do you know when the tree says yes or no? I
It's
guess yourself.
it's it's kind of hard to describe, but I mean every person will experience it differently. But for me, I feel when there's a positive response, and this is happens when I'm talking, giving healing to somebody who's unconscious, or at a distance. So I mean, it's about being able to tune in and to feel that response. So I feel a vibration of sorts when it's like a positive response, and or I get some kind of no response at all. Usually means no, which I rarely get, but it happens. Um, but I feel energetically that like almost like a little not electric shock, but some kind of like a buzzing of energy that implies that, yes, I agree, or it's okay. But everyone may experience that differently. So it's hard for me to say that you would experience it that way, or somebody else would experience it that way. Everyone experiences the world in a different way.
Mm.
Um, but sometimes, like I said, dealing with people, I will get an actual yes or no, or they may just, with a baby, they may just turn away or start squirming. They don't want to know. So you learn I've learned over time to gauge those responses and understand when I'm getting a positive response as opposed to a negative or non-response.
Oh, that's deep. That's good. This is just a new level all to me. How long does it take to to become is it a tree therapist or flower essence?
I mean, you can come at it through different ways. I mean, as a member of the British Flower and Vibrational Essence Association, which is the Flower Essence Association for professionals here in the UK, some people have come through it by years of practical experience. Some have gone through actual courses. Um, some do a combination of the two. I came through it by experience because I had been producing and using essences for a number of years before I mean, I did some courses as well, but um, I had enough practical experience that I was able to become qualified through that route. But there are different ways you can come by it. There are many people who may make essences and they're not professionals at all, but they may use them with family and friends or just for themselves.
All right, thank you very much. We've talked so much about this because I'm really intrigued. I want to know more. I want to know more. All right. And time, oh my God, time is not on our side. There's one question I want to ask you. The one you said something about it before, no, before we go that route, let me just quickly show our viewers what I learned today about flowers.
Okay.
This is it. What I learned today about flowers. You can as well go and find out what it's all about. When you're talking about vibration, say Rutgers University recently conducted a 10-month behavioral study that explored the link between flowers and life satisfaction. Said that findings show that flowers are a natural moderator of moods and have strong positive effects on emotional health. That's part of what you've been talking about earlier on. And there's a diagram here, which is here. The diagram includes, what I was going through, it said the part of your brain. By the time you use flower or flower essence, there's happiness there. It's for your well-being. It's for calming, and it's for intimacy. I'm going to ask you that question. What does it mean by intimacy? And then at the beginning, I talked about, the violet color and the green color. Now, if we look at this very well, look at the red. It said red is traditionally associated with love and romance. It has positive effects on the immune system. Oh my God. It is also an energizing color for those who suffer from fatigue and exhaustion. That is a wow thing I just knew today. Yellow, say yellow psychologically is the happiest color in the spectrum. It symbolizes sun, invokes happy and radiant feelings, friendly, encourages communication. It stimulates memory and nervous system. I never know this until just yesterday. And orange, of course, it said orange conveys optimism and encouraging socialization. It is also associated with determination and success. Can you read the other one? I can't really see the one below. Can you, Sheila?
No, I can't because the quote is in the way. I can't quite see it. It's covered up.
Yeah. The blue. If you can read that, can you?
It's a bit. I'm not on my screen where I can easily see it, but okay, I can tell blue? You. I can tell you about blue.
Okay,
blue is a color, as a calming color. It's good for reducing fever and inflammation. I mean, there's one of the aromatherapy oils that we use, chamomile, is blue because of the chemazoline. So, but it can be very calming, has very sedative properties.
All right, that's the one. And then the white one here, they say white symbolizes openness, purity, honesty, perfection. It lifts up your mood and boosts your emotional health.
Yes.
This is what you get from flowers. How true is this?
Yeah, I mean, it's very true. There's since ancient times, people have been using the healing that comes from flowers. The ancient Egyptians made all kinds of elixirs and concoctions from flowers. Aborigine people in Australia would sit under a tree or near a particular plant to absorb its healing energy. Yeah. As I said, in modern times, in Europe, it was Dr. Edward Bach, the Harley Street doctor who became the first flower essence producer in the UK, that realized that there was power in the water, the dew that actually came off of certain plants. But how to get that without having to go into the garden and collect dew every day. And that's how we hit upon the creation of making these flower remedies and, preserved in brandy. So, the tradition of using plants for healing has been around as long as people have been alive. Right. So from the beginning of time, because we were, first of all, grain gatherers. I mean, we gathered plants to eat.
Yeah,
So, I mean, the association between plants, food, and health has been around from the very beginning.
it has been. And we can see that from Genesis 1:29. And God says, see, I have given you every herb that yields seeds, which is on the face of the earth, and every tree which fruit yields seeds to you. It shall be food for you. It can be food, it can be medicine. Anything that is food can be medicine. What you
Sure.
are, what you eat. What you eat comes out in our body, isn't it? You said that
Well,
earlier on.
absolutely. I mean, there was the in ancient Greece. I think it was Hippocrates, I believe. It said the father, what we consider the father of medicine, and he said, "Let your food be your medicine, and your medicine be your food."
Yeah.
So, there's a long, long ancient tradition of using the plant world or the nature kingdom for our healing and health.
Wow, I received. I take that. It's for our healing and health. What you eat, you are what you eat. That's just the essence of all this. You are what you eat. Lord
Yes,
have mercy.
absolutely.
One question I ask you before we go. Time is not on our side. Two questions actually. If you can just make it short. One,
Mhm.
you talked something. You talked about what is each one teach one mentoring program you do. What is each
Okay.
one teach one mentoring program?
The Each One Teach One mentoring program is a program to provide support to Black and African, Caribbean, and South Asian psychotherapy and counseling students. I started the program 11 years ago because I didn't have the best experience I could have had when I was doing my own psychotherapy training. So, as I like to say, I took my own lemons and I made lemonade for other people.
Yeah.
Um, so that there are qualified and experienced therapists and counselors who give support, emotional support to these students who are coming through, because the attrition rate, the rate of students, Asian and Black and Caribbean students dropping out of therapy, psychotherapy and counseling courses is very high. Getting them to be accredited and in higher positions is very difficult. So to correct that balance, we have to do it for ourselves. And we couldn't wait for some organization to do it because they weren't going to do it. And when they had funding for it, they cut it. So I issued a call 11 years ago to the Black, African, and Asian Therapy Network, or BOTN, to set up a program of support. And 11 years later, it's going strong. And in fact, I'm getting ready to step down from running the program, and someone taking over in the new year. But I think after 11 years, it's well established. Universities and therapists, Black and white, are referring students to us, and it's gratifying to see that even the students who have gone through the program come back to give as well, to new students who are coming behind them. So it's something I'm quite proud of, actually. And it was born of my own less than exciting and stellar experience as a student.
Thank you very much. And how can they get through to you or in touch with you?
Well, there's any number of ways they can do it. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I'm just about everywhere. I'm on Pinterest, you name it. But if you look up the Dream Decipherer, you will find me. My website is www.sheilabalgaman, all one word.com. And like I said, if you look up the Dream Decipherer online, you will find me quite easily.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. And you won't escape this. There's this question I ask everybody that comes on this platform. What is one mistake that you have made in the journey of life, looking back now, that our viewers can actually learn from?
I think the lesson is to treat everybody as you would wish to be treated, because you never know when you will encounter them in life again, or if you will encounter them in life again. Um, the person that you might meet, uh, you know, I don't know. You might bump into it at a well, these days you don't bump into anybody, but someone you might bump into in a casual setting, maybe this very same person who has to hire you in future. So you never know who you're going to meet and what impact they're going to have on your life. So it's best to treat everyone with the same respect that you would wish to be treated with, because it can turn around and bite you on the butt when you're not looking.
Wow. Treat everyone the way you want them to treat you.
Exactly.
The Bible actually said, they say, love your neighbor as yourself.
That's
Love your
right.
neighbor as yourself. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And sometimes in life, some people, when you're on the high pedestal and you're thinking you are all in all, you have arrived. And meanwhile, you have, climbed people to get to where you are going. And there's a proverb that says, be careful of people you step on to go to the top. Because if you are coming down, those are the same people you meet.
Yep.
So learn to treat people the way you want to be treated. And I think if we
Exactly.
do that, the world would be a better place.
Oh,
I just want
far
to say
better.
thank you. I just want to say thank you. Okay, that we met in one of these how did we meet again? Remember?
Millionaire Mindset. The Millionaire
Millionaire
Mindset
Mindset.
Conference. This was ages ago now, but
It's
that's where
going
we
to about
first
six
met.
years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, that we met at a Millionaire Mindset. Can you imagine? Great mind think alike. We move. That's the vibrational energy you're talking about earlier on. People of the same
exactly.
kind of
They're drawn
mind or
together, or we say birds of a feather flock together. I mean, it's if you want to be in that millionaire mindset or whatever mindset it is, you surround yourself with those people to absorb that energy and be supported by it.
Wow, that's a good one. And that's, what you just said now made me to remember how we met. And look at it. About 6 years later, here we are together again. If I was rude to you or you were rude to me, then we would have been able to come together now, be doing what we're
Yeah,
doing.
you see,
I probably would
everything in its
love
time. Everything in
everything.
its time and with a purpose.
Yeah. So God makes everything beautiful in its time. Thank you very much. Yeah, the time is, almost gone now. I just want to say
Well,
thank you to all our viewers out there. We really appreciate you. Those that are still watching, please share. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for this. This is a whole new thing. It's very informative. Sometimes we just want to
good.
hear other stories. Sometimes it's good for us to be well informed. There are a lot of
Mhm.
things I never knew about when it comes to flowers, vibration, energy, and you need it. We all have to work with all these things that makes life better. I read Genesis all
Absolutely.
the time. Look at Genesis 1:29, telling you what to eat for your own self. There is a saying that you are what you eat. You eat well, you look well, you are healthy, then your vibration, your personality will be better. But if we're sick, that's wrong negative vibration, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, and it's the negative vibration that probably led to the illness in the first place.
Wow, wow, wow. I've learned so much today. Thank you very much, Sheila. I really appreciate
My
this.
pleasure. It was absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. All right. Bye bye, all our viewers. We have to stop
Bye
here
bye.
now. And may the Lord bless you in Jesus' name. Bye bye, everyone. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.